Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge, it's the Friday night show. I hope you're all doing well. Actually, for a Friday night show, I want to try and keep it upbeat, but to be honest with you, this should be a morning show. You know, we work hard all week. We work hard all week to get to a Friday night and kick back and have a bit of a laugh. And actually, we've got some quite serious stuff to talk about. Mason Mount injured, out for a month, another injury. Marcus Rashford, they've upheld the red card. He's out of the Galatasaray game. And Erik ten Hag basically dismissing the prospect of signing players in January. Yeah, lots to get into. Mate Goldbrush crawling up that hill, says Brandon. And obviously it's Friday night, so we'll keep it up and you can have your... Keep it up? We'll keep it up and you can have your say as well. But look, is Erik ten Hag to blame is one of the things I want to talk about. Another injury. I've been saying this for a very long time. There's optimists in our fan base who are like, when we get everybody back, we'll be fine. What they don't realise is I don't think we're going to get everybody back. I think we're going to keep picking up these injuries and always have 4 or 5 important players missing at one time. So we'll get into that as well. But before we get into that, look at this lovely top I've got. Absolutely love it. Boohoo man. And you're going to love the quiz tonight, and you're going to love what they've got to say because it is Black Friday, and today's show is brought to you by Boohoo Man, and we've got some incredible news for you. Boohoo Man is rolling out a mind-blowing Black Friday deal. Imagine getting almost everything at 90% off across the entire site. Yes, you heard it right. 90% off everything, and here's the kicker. If you're a United Stand subscriber and you use the code GOLDBRIDGE at checkout, you snag an extra 10%. That means you're looking at a whopping 99% just for today. And this is the kind of deal that doesn't come around often, so you definitely don't want to miss it. So look, I've just got this today from them. I normally have my, I've got rid of it. The other Boohoo Man hoodie I always wear through the winter. I've got a brand new one now, and I'm absolutely loving it. So check it out, 90% off. Plus the additional 10% using the code GOLDBRIDGE. You don't want to miss these prices. Links in the video description. You can scan that QR code. It's going to be up there all show. Big shout out to Boohoo Man. Christmas is coming, but kit yourself out. Whatever it is. Down the gym, in the living room, 5-a-side, whatever it is. They've got coats, they've got the lot. Check it out. And in line with our fantastic Black Friday deal, we're bringing you a special edition of our Guess the Player quiz, focusing on the legendary 1999 Manchester United team. Let's test your knowledge. I was born on the 21st of January 1975 in Manchester. My career started in 1992 at Manchester United and ended in 2011 playing in South China. I was a crucial part of Manchester United's first team for 12 years, where I won 6 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, 1 UEFA Champions League and 1 Intercontinental Cup. Known for stepping up in the absence of Roy Keane, I was a key member of the batch of talented young players at United, famously dubbed the Fergie Fledglings. My time at United culminated in 2001 when I joined Newcastle United. Well, I guessed that. I thought it was who it is. But I didn't know he ended his career playing in South China. So that's what threw me a little bit. But I did go with Nicky Butt in my head. And I was right, because that's the answer. So congratulations to everyone else who got that. Remember this incredible Black Friday deal. 99% off at Boohoo Man is exclusive to everyone today only. Use the code GOLDBRIDGE to unlock this fantastic offer. What are you waiting for? Head over to Boohoo Man now and celebrate Black Friday in style. Big shout out there. Yeah, we've reached the pinnacle of the community's week. A few beers and chill. Love the Friday night show. Hope you're well, Mark. Well, Dean, I want to make this the Friday show. I want it to be, you know, a laugh and a bit of interactivity and all that. But we have got to start off with some, you know, serious news, and that is that it's come out. Well, I was playing FIFA this afternoon, or whatever they call it now, and I was doing quite well in my Man United career mode. And then someone said Mason Mount's out for a month, and I said, "You're having a laugh. Take your face for a shit." And I love that saying. You know when you hear that for the first time. You know where I heard that for the first time. My uncle said it to my gran. Rest in peace. They're having an argument, and he said, "Oh, shut up. Go and take your face for a shit." Very disrespectful. But everybody at the table really was trying not to laugh because it was the first time we'd ever heard it. And I still find it funny to this day. And I think my gran probably does as well. Hi, Mark. If you could change something in Ten Hag's tenure here so far, what would it be? Love the show. Greetings from Greece, says Sotos. Good question. If I could change something from Ten Hag's tenure here so far, what would it be? You know what? The longer time goes on, the more I feel the same I did about Jose. I wanted Jose to be sacked, but the more time's gone on, the more I wish it hadn't happened. And I knew Ronaldo needed to go, but the more it's gone on, I wish it hadn't happened because I just think Ronaldo last season would have given us... I just wish Ronaldo had worked the second time round, I suppose. Ray says, I've been thinking if Erik Ten Hag is falling out with players, if true, who wins really? The Glazers. Is he being pushed by Top Gun, says Ray? And it's not Nicky Butt, it's Nani, says Jack. Well, look, Mason Mount is out for a month. I want to hit this story because then we can move on to other stuff. Mason Mount is out for a month. It is a huge injury blow for Manchester United. Eriksen's out for a month. Casemiro's out for another month. So basically our midfield is now got McTominay, Amrabat, Bruno. That's it, isn't it? It's McTominay, Amrabat, Bruno and Mainu. That's our midfield for the next month. Now, some might say, whoa, I'm excited about that. I'm not. 50% of you would send Amrabat back to Fiorentina, according to last night. Bruno, well, I love Bruno. McTominay, no, not quite the same. And Mainu has only just come back from an injury himself. We've got 3 games in 6 days. Then we've got Chelsea 3 days later. Then we've got Bournemouth. Then we've got Bayern Munich. Then we've got Liverpool. I mean, we've got a lot of games to play with 4 midfielders. I think midfield is where games are won and lost. And I'm not saying Mason Mount's the answer. And Lee Berman says, well, we've never really had Mason Mount, but it's still a body. It's still a player. It's still somebody that's part of that setup. And it concerns me. It really does. I've got to question the Mount signing, says Marvin. Better midfielders were available like Gravenberch, Casido and Rice, and in Europe, says Marvin. Look, Marvin, there's something I want to say here, and I'm just going to do it. Is Ten Hag to blame? Is he unlucky? Yes. Is he to blame? Potentially. And I want to talk about that, because if we don't talk about it, what are we as a fan base? Everyone else is talking about it in the pubs in Manchester, London, India. You know, everyone's talking about it. You know, I don't know why we have to feel guilty as a community about talking about things that every other bloody Man United fan is talking about. Did Ten Hag get it wrong signing Mason Mount? Is Ten Hag at fault for all the injuries, muscle injuries we're getting? Well, let's have the chat. Let's have the chat everyone's going to have on Sunday when they're going to the game or they're having with their mates. This is the chat we're going to have, and we're bloody going to do it. Mank in Chicago says, so much wrong with the team. I love Eric, but he's not helping himself at the moment. Happy Thanksgiving from the US. Up the not so mighty red, says Mank. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Sorry, Mark, just a quick question from what you said earlier in the morning show. Rashford has a high value contract, so will Rashford be sold soon? I will come back to that. I've got a great point about that. You've reminded me. I should have said it in the press conference. Look, brace yourselves. Erik Ten Hag got it wrong signing Mason Mount. It's not breaking news. Let him speak, Simon. It's not breaking news. It's slow sports news. It's not breaking news. He got it wrong signing Mason Mount. You can say it. You can say it. You can say it. You can say it. He wanted to sell Harry Maguire in the summer. He was right. Harry Maguire's probably our best centre-back now. You know what? Things change. In 2 months' time, Mason Mount might be the best player in the Premier League. And I really hope he is. But we signed him in June. 6 months later, it's a complete and utter flop. Ten Hag knows it. Mason Mount knows it. I know it. You know it. It's a complete and utter flop right now. Now, the intelligent opinion is to say this can get better. In fact, I would say it can only get better. But we bought a player for £55 million that confused everybody. We gave him a number 7 shirt. It confused everybody. The biggest confusion was, where does he play? You've got Casemiro, Bruno, Eriksen, and Mason Mount is an attacking midfielder. It didn't make sense, and it's never made any sense because he got injured straight away. He came back, didn't get picked, and now he's gone and got injured again. He ain't back until basically Christmas. We've had him for 6 months. He's done nothing. He's done nothing but confuse himself, the fans, and general football. The whole deal doesn't make any sense. And there has been an aspect of being unlucky. If he'd have scored on his debut, not got injured, maybe he'd be a success. But football, speak to Donny van der Beek about being unlucky. You know, speak to Juan Sebastian Veron about being unlucky. You can be a player that's good, and I believe Mason Mount's a good player. And I hope he still works. But right here, right now, it is a flop of a signing. It's been an absolute mess. Why is he injured twice? He hardly bloody played last year. I understand why Varane's been injured. I understand why Casemiro's injured. I understand why Rashford and Bruno are out of form. I understand why Luke Shaw got injured because I witnessed them play a ridiculous amount of football last year. Mason Mount's hardly played any bloody football last year. Didn't go to the World Cup. Did he go to the World Cup? I can't remember. Don't know whether he went to the World Cup. Certainly didn't play in the internationals in June. Wasn't always in the Chelsea side. Why is he picking up muscle injuries? Did we do our checks? Have we done our homework? Is he an injury-prone player? Have Chelsea gone and sold as a dud like Bayern Munich and Real Madrid have in the past? I don't know, but he's had 2 significant injuries in 3 months. It's not good enough, and it's not a good signing at the moment. It really isn't. Can he turn it around? Yes, he can. At this moment in time, is it a bad signing? Yes. Of course it is. I can't remember how last shrewd signing from under the noses of rivals, so good or good value from good scouting, such as Vidic, all expensive and underwhelming, says Ali. Globe says, I can't wait for Luke Shaw to come back. He won't solve all the problems, but I think he is possibly the most important player in our squad. Well, he's back this weekend and we need him, Globetrotter. Number 7 was unforgivable, says Ash. Well, it was illogical. It didn't make any sense. I mean, it's a number at the end of the day. Mankinshire Chicago says, also big up for the amazing charity work last week. Dark times right now, so important to give back and spread positivity. Love this channel. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. Jack Glancy says, I always thought Mason Mount was overrated and I hoped he would prove me wrong, but so far I think I'm right. Well, you are. I mean, I actually do rate Mason Mount. I liked him at Chelsea. I didn't at the start, but then he sort of, he convinced me. I think there's a good player there. But this reflects badly on Ten Hag. I don't think it reflects badly on Mason Mount. It reflects badly on Ten Hag. Because you know what? People will say, well, we've been a little bit unlucky with injuries. And, I mean, maybe we have been a little bit unlucky with injuries. But he wasn't injured for the last 6 weeks, and we didn't pick him. Like, the Mason Mount injury, in some ways, is a double whammy for, you know, when someone's got a big fish in a comedy and it's a big wet fish and they slap it round someone's face and it's funny, but then they come back and hit it again. That's how I feel with Ten Hag, because he's not picked Mason Mount over the last 6 weeks. He's been picking McTominay. He's been picking Eriksen. He's been picking Bruno. He's not even picked Mason Mount. And he's not picked Mason Mount, trying to, for whatever reason, and now Mason Mount's got injured. So he's not been picking him anyway, and now he's got injured. It's like a double whammy, isn't it? And you know that makes it worse. If Mason Mount had been being picked and then got injured, you'd go, oh, I can't believe it, he's got injured. But he wasn't picking him anyway. He wasn't putting him in the team. I think Ten Hag is like Carlos Queiroz, great coach, but not a good manager. He just needs to learn managing players better, says Shahin. And as much as we need Shaw back, we know Erik Ten Hag won't play him, and I fully support Erik Ten Hag, but I'm getting concerned now. He will play Shaw, rookie. And love the show, Mark. What do we do if Bruno gets one more yellow card and gets suspended, says Stian? Look, the midfield is a big problem. The midfield is a big problem at the moment. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but Eriksen, Casemiro, Mount are all out for a month, basically. 3 games in 6 days. Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, Amrabat or Mainu. That's it, isn't it? There's nobody else. I'm not missing... I feel like I'm missing somebody, but I don't think I am. I think it's Bruno, McTominay, Amrabat and Mainu, and that's it. That's what we've got to go into the next few weeks at Manchester United. And I mean, I'm not saying Mason Mount was the be-all and end-all, but Hannibal as well. Yeah, Hannibal. Maybe Donny comes into play, but that's embarrassing in itself because he wasn't even putting Donny on the bench a few weeks ago. So yeah, it is a concern. I think the second concern is how much blame do we apportion to Ten Hag in relation to the training, because there is a ridiculous amount of muscle strain injuries, twists, strains, etc. And it's ridiculous how many Manchester United are picking up. Now, I've always been an advocate that a lot of these injuries are just wear and tear. We played stupid amounts of football from Christmas last year to now. And we know those players are Martinez, Rashford, Bruno, Casemiro, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes. There's a lot of players that have played a lot of football over the last 11 months. Mason Mount's not one of those players. So why is he picking up 2 injuries? I mean, it worries me. Is there an issue in the way that we're training our players? Because we're not playing well. So what are we doing on the training ground? I don't have that information, but it feels to me like Is it just bad luck why we keep picking up all these injuries? Or is it something in the way we're doing things at Manchester United? Look, Newcastle have got a lot of injuries. Brighton have got a lot of injuries. It could well be the schedule that footballers have these days. We're seeing injuries all over the place, and those at the top of the game don't want to change it. And we as the fans, again, suffer with dilution of talent. I mean, imagine if Bruno Fernandes gets injured and we're picking Amrabat, McTominay and Hannibal. Who's losing? Well, Ten Hag's probably losing his job, but we're losing as fans because all these players are getting injured. They're still getting paid, but they're not playing. And the quality of football that we're watching is, I mean, look at Spurs. That's nothing like Spurs' best team at the moment. They've got injuries as well. Mark, I have no idea where Mount fits into the United team. Was he meant to be a Bruno replacement, says Rozzo? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. We're not going to know until 2024, let's be honest. I mean, he wasn't picking him for the last 6 weeks anyway when he was fit. I don't know. I think that Mason Mount was bought to replace Christian Eriksen. And I have said this before, but I will repeat it. I think he was bought to replace Christian Eriksen. I think it was going to be Casemiro, Mount and Bruno. I think he wanted a more mobile Christian Eriksen in that midfield. And I think that was the plan. But my big issue with that was, where was Eric last season when our midfield got overrun 3 or 4 times by decent teams? Liverpool, Man City, Brighton. It happened a few times. So, and that was with Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro. I don't know why we didn't figure it out in the summer that we needed a Caicedo or an Enzo Fernandez or a Gravenberch. I don't know why we didn't figure that one out. Because I may get proven wrong in the future, but I've never thought that Casemiro, Mount and Bruno would be a good midfield 3 for Manchester United. It's too much. It's too heavy a load on Casemiro defensively, and it's too difficult a load for Casemiro and Bruno, for Mount and Bruno to do the defensive work against the better teams. So, and we're not a possession-based football side. I think that I sort of get what Ten Hag was doing, but both decisions were way too premature. He bought a ball-playing goalkeeper but doesn't have a ball-playing back 4. And he bought a ball-playing number 8, but doesn't have the defensive capabilities to dominate the opposition when we haven't got the ball. And therefore, you've got a ball-playing number 8 who won't have the ball because we'll get dominated in the midfield. If we were like Ajax, 80% possession, you could play Mount and Bruno and Casemiro. You play a high line, you could play your sweeper keeper. But in the Premier League, we can't play a high line because we haven't got the defenders to do it. And we can't have 80% possession because we haven't got the players to do it. So we've got this Mason Mount number 8 plan, which just doesn't work. We've got this Onana ball-playing goalkeeper, which doesn't work. I can see what the plan was, but we haven't got the players to do it. And I've got to call Ange out on this. I don't know whether you heard Ange today saying something along the lines of, I hear these managers saying, I can't play my style of football because I haven't got the players to do it. Just get out there and do it, Cobber. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You cannot milk a horse. You can milk a cow. And you cannot get Manchester United to play pet ball. We haven't got the players to do it. They just are not capable of doing it. It's like getting a plumber to do your accounts or your accountants to do your electricity. There are skills in this game and we don't have the players to do it. And I think that's the problem Ten Hag has faced. He's bought components for his big plan, but they don't fit in at the moment. Is the falling out media driven? Certainly players not much said about, yet others they are all over at the moment. Is it coincident? I doubt it, says Ray. BBC article worked out this season there's like 15% injury increase across the Premier League and we played the most. It's clear it's the number of games, says SK. Well, you're speaking to, you don't need to convert me. I mean, I'll probably do a video on this next week on That's Football. I think it's a disgrace. I think the officiating in the Premier League is a disgrace. And I think that the amount of injuries that we're getting is a disgrace. I basically think as the consumer, we are being robbed. And we're asking, basically, it's a little bit like, you know how I feel as a football fan at the moment? Can you think of those places where you can go, get a really good meal for a really fair price and a really good portion? I'm not talking about afters. I'm talking about it's enough food, it's good quality food at a good price. That's what people want, isn't it? And I feel like we were getting that with the Premier League, but what we're now getting is prices going up, quality of food going down, quantity of food going down. I think we're being asked to pay more for less. You know, so many teams have injuries now, so you don't get to see their best team. There's loads more games. We're being asked to pay more. And this is what happened when you've got greedy people in charge of football. They're not really interested in football fans at all. Is it more beneficial to invest in someone who will perform 5 out of 10 every game but is always available, or someone who will give you 8 out of 10 every game but is only available for 30% of the games? Perhaps why Varane is out of favour, says Hub. Fair point. Pap says, has been a member for 8 months. And yesterday I'm saying the same thing. Even after injury, Ten Hag won't start Varane and Casemiro. There is no point in keeping 600k a week or sack Ten Hag, says Jay. Well, this is what I wanted to talk about, actually. I'll say it now because it's a Friday night show and it doesn't really matter. I don't know how to phrase this, so I'm just going to do it. Do you think the Glazers, Sir Jim and Eric Ten Hag are trying to build a British core? Think back to the Ronaldo days. There was a split in the dressing room. There was basically the British camp and the foreign camp. Ronaldo, Bruno, Varane, Casemiro. And then the British camp was probably Rashford, Shaw, Maguire, whoever. It's very stereotypical, but there was a split in the camp. Maybe they were the splits, maybe they weren't. Last season, the team was predominantly foreign. Look at the team last season. David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is English. Martinez, Varane, David De Gea, Luke Shaw was English. Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, Rashford was English. Striker didn't really matter, Anthony. So you've got, what, 8 players that were foreign, and Rashford, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka were English. We finished 3rd. We got to 2 cup finals. This season, I look at the team. All right, Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Luke Shaw will be there. I don't know why I'm just putting fingers up here. But what I'm trying to say is, if you remove Ronaldo, De Gea, Varane, Casemiro, you've only got one player over 300k a week, and it's Marcus Rashford. Do you think that we are moving towards a British-run dressing room? I don't know. Somebody said that to me today. Why is Rashford the only one that's on big money that's going to stay? And I said, well, maybe we're building the team around Rashford. Ten Hag's in love with Rashford. Maybe we're building the team behind Rashford. Maybe that's what it's going to be. Maybe we're looking at a British core. Maybe they're trying to change the dynamic of the dressing room. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. But Marcus Rashford is our biggest earning player if you remove Casemiro, Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo, De Gea. Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay are back in the first team. They're British. Wan-Bissaka, Johnny Evans. You know, maybe we're transitioning towards a British club. Putting the Manchester back into Manchester United was something that apparently Sir Jim Ratcliffe said back in January. Maybe we're going to go for a British core. What I would say that, playing devil's advocate, tell me a team that's got a British core that's won the Premier League in the last 20 years. I can't think of one. 20 years ago was Invincibles. That wasn't a British core. Chelsea's team wasn't really a British core. I mean, you did have Frank Lampard and John Terry, but it wasn't a British core. Man United, our 3 titles in the late noughties, wasn't really a British core. Scholes and Giggs were sort of past it. All right, you had Ferdinand, Gary Neville was past it, Rooney. But again, there was a lot of foreign players in there. Man City, Chelsea again winning titles, predominantly foreign players. Man City over the last few years, predominantly foreign players. I mean, you're not winning the Premier League. It's not 1988. You're not going to win the Premier League with a core of British players. The whole league has changed. You've got to have the best foreign players with some of the best British players. That's what we need to do. So no, I don't think we're building a British core. I think we're building a team that's going to be a lot cheaper. I think it's a business decision. I think we're trying to remove big wages. That's what I think. PGMOL, air traffic controllers to help. What a joke, says Martin Saunders. And that Leicester team was roughly 50-50, says Remy. I mean, that Leicester team, it was great, but it was a complete and utter one-off, and it will never happen again. I mean, everybody was basically shit that season. Jack Stewart says, purely speculating now. Well, Jack, it's a Friday night show. We're allowed to talk about what we want to do. If you're acting like it's Monday morning, you've got to get up for work, you miserable get. it was a question that was put to me today, and I wanted to bring it into the Friday night show. Bloody hell. Don't have a cow. I was asked this afternoon whether I thought that Ten Hag and Glazers were removing all the big personalities, apart from Rashford, to build a British core dressing room run by the British players. And it's an interesting conversation point, but it won't be successful if we do that. And where does Bruno go? Bruno's Portuguese. So I don't think it's going to happen. But on the other hand, some people think that that's the plan. Some people say that's the plan. You say media spin, you're the biggest spinner, says Red. Oh, what am I spinning? You know what? Shut up with your silly Red Army name and just tell everybody that you're Harry Maguire's brother, because I'm convinced you are. You know, every tweet you do is so pro-British. You may as well bloody... Well, it can't be Nigel Farage because he's in the bloody jungle. But you are so up the arse of the British media, mate. It's so obvious. And I might have had a couple of drinks, but it is so obvious. What am I spinning? I'm having a conversation with the best football community in the world, talking about... I get asked loads of stuff. Loads of stuff. And some of it, I think, I'll bring it into the show. Do I think we're clearing all the foreign players to build a British team? No, I bloody well do not. But I don't think you can sell Marcus Rashford when you've only just given him a bloody pay rise. Casemiro and Varane are a lot younger than Rashford and may not be part of the plan. Completely random maths. I was in the gym today and Ollie Mers came in and all I could think is, why do you hate him if you do and why? Says the fuzzy one. No, I don't hate Ollie Mers. I just don't really have any interest in what he's got to say about football, which is probably the same he thinks about me. And I think he's an absolute... I just think he's a bloody... I think he's like... It reminds me of Man City. He's just plastic. He got a career from Britain's Got Talent. I don't respect it. I don't respect musicians who got their career from Britain's Got Talent. Ollie Mers, Will Young, Gareth Gates, bloody One Direction... I'm a music purist. I'm a music purist. I love proper music. I'm not interested in bloody X Factor or Britain's Got Talent. Swivel on it. I swivel on it, basically. Just a plastic seat. That's it. One Little Mix, they can have it as well, musically. Anyway, Manchester United is going to... Look. You can dismiss me, you can dislike me, but one thing I've always been consistent about, when we came into this scene, and whether it's the TalkSport show, the biggest Man United independent channel in the world, That's Football's massive as well, whatever it is we do, I always said, I felt like coming into this industry, we were like Oasis coming into the music industry in the mid-90s. Nobody wanted us here. We didn't give a shit and we didn't conform to the rules and we didn't get in line. We just came and did what we do and we have done. And no one can ever change that. If it ends tomorrow, nobody can ever change that. We did it on our terms, speaking the truth about things that people had never done before. And that's what we do. That's who we are. That's why some people don't like us. But I'm not going to sit it. For me, Ollie Mers' X Factor is match of the day. You know, manufactured, scripted, and not very interesting. I'd rather spend my time chatting with you lot, real talk about real things. Basically, I'm just a chilled out entertainer, as PJ says. But no, I love it. You know, it's like what we were talking about there. Is Mason Mount a flop and has Ten Hag got to take the blame? Oh, we can't talk about that on the telly. We can't put that in the papers. We might get criticised. Come on. We're not Match of the Day. We're not Sky. We're not TNT. We're not the Manchester Evening News. We're not TalkSport. We're the United Stand. It's meant to be about real opinion, having the conversation. You're not meant to agree either. We all know that. But you're down the pub tomorrow. You're at school on Monday morning. You're going to be talking about Mason Mount like I used to talk about David Beckham or Nicky Butt when I was at school. Like, oh, why did he do that? This, that and the other. These are the conversations we're having. Mason Mount was bought for 55 million quid. He's been here 6 months. He's been a flop. He's wearing the number 7 shirt. Why? Why did we do this? No one's got a bloody clue. We're not having the best season. What was this 55 million quid? What was this deal all about? We've got every right to talk about it because it's happening. It's evidential. My only kicker would be, in 3 months' time, he might be a rip-roaring success. I actually think it could happen. But it doesn't mean we can't say, bloody hell, this has been a nightmare of a signing for him, for Ten Hag, for the fans. We've got a massive injury crisis. And as I keep saying, I disagree with people who say, we're going to be fine at the end of December. Casemiro will be back. Martinez will be back. Eriksen will be back. Mount will be back. We'll be able to put our best back four out, our best midfield out, and everything will be fine. And I will say, you're talking out your arse. Because when those players come back, another 3 or 4 will be injured. I guarantee you, we are... The scary thing is, Casemiro's not back till January. Martinez isn't back yet. Eriksen's out for a month. Mount's out for a month. They're not coming back in the next 7 games. I guarantee you in the next 7 games, we're getting injuries. So I don't see this changing. Players are getting injured because they've been overplayed and are tired. Do you think Bruno Fernandes is suddenly going to wake up one morning and go, oh, I feel like a new man. I feel like I've had 4 months off. I feel fit as a fiddle. Let's go. No, he's going to wake up and go, okay, I love this game, but it's another, I've played more football than anyone in the last year, and I'm still going to be, I've got the Euros next summer. I mean, Bruno Fernandes isn't going to stop. Marcus Rashford isn't going to stop. You must wake up in the morning and go, God, I mean, I played football on Wednesday. My hip has been killing me because I've just done some twist that I've not done in about 6 years. So it's a muscle that's gone, I thought I was dead. I thought I was fucking dead. He used me. He used me. And they must wake up every morning with aches and pains, and they must go in their head, I'm never going to get any time off until I get an injury. Like, I'm going to be playing all the way till Christmas, through till March. I'll play in the international break because I'm international, through till the end of May. Then I'll do the Euros. Then I'll have a week off. Then I'll be going on pre-season tour, and then I'll be doing it all again. It's incredible. Incredible. Football's gone backwards. The FA needs to wake up and do something, otherwise football is doomed, says Mohammed. And I feel Mount has been a misstep from Ten Hag, says Mohammed. Sorry, Mark, didn't mean to bring down the show. You're a legend, and I love your reactions. No, I'll take any question. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for your super chat. I'll take any question. I'm not bothered about it at all. Not bothered about it at all. But I think that I just think there's a reality bite. There's a reality bite coming, and we don't know what that reality is going to be at the moment. But look, in relation to Simon Tovey says, my wife Hayley says you're the 3rd person in our marriage. We love you, mate, and thank you for everything you do. Well, big shout out to Hayley. You know, I know it's difficult, but I'm sorry. I do apologise. I get this all the time. It's always the other half who's like, I can't, you're on in our house all the time. Bring her to the Christmas show. We'll give her a shout out. Links in the video description. Christmas show is going to be great. Look, the best thing about football is honesty. I love certain players, but if they have a bad game, you'll see it in the player ratings. They were shit. They were shit. That's the bottom line, yeah? You've got to be honest. I don't agree, and I saw something today, and I absolutely agree with it. Somebody said, why is it if I don't back the manager, I don't support the club? And look, I back the manager, but it's not fair to say to people that don't like a player or don't back a manager that are not a real fan. I've said this for a few years. Win, lose or draw, support the team. There are some people that chant that shit, and it's not true. Win, lose or draw, get behind the team. Fuck off. Absolute bullshit. We've got the best away fans in the world. At the end of the Rangnick season and Ollie, they were singing at the players, you're not fit to wear the shirt. Does that sound like fans going win, lose or draw, get behind the team? Bollocks. There is a standard at this football club, and if you fall below it, you should be called out for it. We're not a bloody charity. We have a history. We are intrinsically linked to tragedy. We are intrinsically linked to success, to what this shirt means. Manchester United is more than a bloody game of football. It's a way of life. We have traditions. There are standards. If you drop below those standards, you should be called out. I don't know what world we live in anymore, but the one I grew up in, whether it was going to watch games or listening on the TV or whatever, there has always been debate. There has always been criticism and praise, and there always should be, because this club is stuck in the mud. It's stuck in the mud, and it's been stuck in the mud for 10 years. It is not a problem if you do not rate a player. It becomes a problem if you personalise it. Of course it does. I don't like some of the words used by people who want Ten Hag out, but I can listen to why they want him out. I just don't listen to the nonsense that people talk about, you know, abusive names. What's that all about? You're too thick to put out your words why you don't rate him as a manager, so you have to target him in how he looks. Idiotic. But you can be Ten Hag out and support the club. You can call the Mason Mount signing a flop at this time and be supportive of the club. In some ways, you're more supportive than the apathetic fan who just goes, win, lose or draw, support the team. Bog off. What are you talking about? When did you support the club? They're as bad as those people who go, social media has made it really toxic with fans. It never used to be like this 20 years ago. You go down the Man United, you don't go down Old Trafford. Everyone was cheering even if we got beat 6-0. You know, we've had some right shit players. We'd be waiting for his autograph and a picture. Yeah, you know, you just got to get behind the players, mate. You got to do it, you know, at the end of the day. Bullshit. Bullshit. I've been to United plenty of times. I used to go in the early noughties. I used to hear people jeering Ryan Giggs. And only the people who were there will know I'm telling the truth. Social media is... I mean, David Beckham had a bloody mannequin hanging from a bridge. Imagine if you did that now. You'd be bloody locked up for 20 years. It used to be worse before social media. Football fans have always been critical of players, and there is no problem with it. And we should never feel suppressed about doing that. Because as long as it's talking about football, it matters not. Cheers for the roasting. Was funny, to be fair. Just messing, says Jack. Thank you, Jack. Love the content. Off to Manchester to watch Anne-Marie for Mrs. 40TB. But can you recommend any Man United pubs to watch the Everton match while I'm there, says the Wheelmaster. I've not been in Manchester. I don't think I've ever watched a match in Manchester in a pub, because if I'm in Manchester, I'm normally watching the match. I'm normally there. Mount has been injury prone since last season and even had an operation at the back end of last season. Chelsea obviously knew something we didn't, says Simon. I'm going to check this. Players have been overplayed and more matches and tournaments have been added. This needs to be called out, says Mohammed. And I just left my Black Friday shift, so glad to have this show after such a stressful day, says Jace. Love that, Jace. Relax and chill with us. Right, okay, let's have a look at this. You know what? I never thought of Mason Mount as being injury prone. Never entered my head. Never entered my head. Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, well, it's not that bad, actually. So, this is Mason Mount over the last few years. Ankle injury, 2018, 3 weeks. Hamstring injury, January 2019, 60 days. Ankle injury, September 19. Ankle injury, November 19. Ankle injury, February 14. So he's had a few ankle problems. Pelvic injury, April this year, 36 days. Pelvic confusion, February. Unknown injury in August. I mean, there are a few there. I mean, look, if he's got ankle problems, I'd say that was on the thing. If he's got a pelvic problem, I'd say he had that. But look, surely Manchester United aren't buying players with injury problems. I'd hate to think that. I wanted full sale, but if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is successful, would you start to back him even though the Glazers are still in charge, says Ray. Mate, we're wandering all over the place now. I did a video probably a month ago where it was something like United in 2026. And I basically said that we've lost. We've lost. We're not getting a full sale and we're not getting the Glazers out. Whether we got Qatar or not, we're not getting that. We're getting Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And one thing I always say to my kids, and one thing I was always brought up, is that accept defeat. When you're beaten, you're beaten. If there's a minute left, you're not beaten. But when the final whistle goes, you're defeated. And no one likes a bad loser. When you're defeated, you've got to take it. And we were defeated. We didn't get a full sale. So now, it's not that I don't agree with the Glazer out movement, and it's not that I'm adamant that the only way to be successful is a full sale and a lot of money coming into the club. It's just that I'm a realist, and we lost. I don't want this, that we're about to get. I don't want it, but the reality is it's coming. And I'm never going to turn my back on Man United. So I've had nearly 20 years of the Glazers and I've not liked it one bit. This might be better. It's not what I wanted, but it might be better. All I will say is I'm not behind it. I'm not getting on board with it, but I will accept it. And that's a big thing. You know, I'll accept. I mean, people accept their punishment, don't they? I don't know whether it's going to be a punishment, but I accept it. I'll scrutinise it, and I want the detail on it. And as Tommy says, we've just got to live in hope. But I think that sadly there are people in our fan base that just haven't accepted it yet. And I would say you can accept it and still be very vocal about it. I mean, look, if we get relegated next season with Sir Jim and the Glazers, there'll be a reaction. If we continue to sack managers and waste money, there'll be a reaction. We might have more of the same. We might improve slightly. We might improve a lot. We've just got to scrutinise it. But it is what it is. And I think there will be some positive changes. Whether they make big difference or not, we'll have to say. But, I mean, I'm certainly not going to sit back and just accept it in the sense of, oh, you know, I'm going to support it. I think they need to. Respect is earned. Respect is earned, isn't it? And it's the same as Mason Mount in a way. I don't think he's finished. I'm concerned, but he's got to earn the support of the fan base. We will always get behind the new signing. We always have, but it's not going particularly well at the moment. What I will say about Ten Hag is, though, is it a misstep with Mason Mount? Of course it is. Of course it is. But I do think the modern football fan, and I'm guilty of this, we do live in a FIFA generation. We do live in a Messi, Ronaldo generation. They were two ridiculously iconic players who never seemed to have a bad game. And Pep Guardiola's had flops. Jurgen Klopp has had flops. Sir Alex Ferguson had flops. You do spend money and get it wrong. In fact, as I've said to you before, the actual success rate that is good for a manager with transfers is 60 to 70%, which means you're getting 30 to 40% of your signings that are either flops or bang average. So you're always going to get that. You're always going to get flops. And, you know, I look at Ten Hag signings. Eriksen for a free transfer was a brilliant signing. It was. It was. Eriksen was a success. Casemiro was a success because last year he was my player of the year and he took us from nowhere to third. I think Casemiro was a success. Martinez, I believe, is a success. I thought he was fantastic last year. He's just been injured. Anthony, okay, you put him in the Mason Mount category. Of course you do, but that's 3-2. Malacia cost us 15 million quid. How can you say Malacia is a failure when he was bought to be a backup left back who we haven't fully seen his potential? So I'd say Malacia was a success for what we paid and bought him for. That's everyone from last year, I think, isn't it? So you've got Anthony and Mount, who are, you know, a bit on the fence at the moment, let's be honest. And then you've got 4 good ones. Anana, look, we're going to have to be patient with the goalkeeper. I wouldn't have done it. I'd have stayed with De Gea for another year. But I did say it takes a long time for a new Man United goalkeeper to settle, and we shouldn't be judging Anana yet. Højlund, success. He's going to be a success. He is a success. So he's had 2 signings, really, where I would go, they're a little bit dubious, Mount and Anthony. And the rest of them have been successful. And when you put that into equations, his hit rate is probably about 70%, which is right. But the media will send you down a road of, oh, he's bought badly, you know, he's doing a bad job. But 70% is about right success rate. And I think he's been successful on 70% of his signings. Loan deals, I ain't even interested in. I'm not interested in loan deals. Sabitzer, Weghorst, Reguilon, Johnny Evans, Amrabat, they're loan deals. But his actual core signings, he's done reasonably well. I don't get the pile-on, really. But obviously, people remember the significant ones. And also, let's not forget what Ten Hag said today about signings in January. He mentioned the last couple of Januaries and said nothing's been done and it's difficult to do it because we've got parameters around what we can spend. So, yeah, sell to buy is probably a title of a thumbnail we'll be doing in the next few days. Simon says, Mount had obviously played way too much early on in his career and now his body is breaking down. Check how many games he played for Chelsea since he made his debut for them. Very short. Simon, you've made 2 incredibly insightful comments tonight. I want to get a big... Let him speak, Simon! I think Simon's made a great couple of points tonight. One about the injury background of Mason Mount, and then he's followed it up again with what I think is a great point. Is this a player that has got an injury-prone future ahead of him because of being overplayed as a youngster. I don't know, but it is unusual. It's very unusual the amount of injuries we're getting at the moment, but it's very unusual to sign a player and then him get 2 separate injuries in the first 4 months, 3 months really. It's weird. Let's also remember again, the majority of his signings weren't his first choices. Even Onana wasn't his first choice, with Harry Kane on the list. Yes, Shahin. Well, De Jong, Nunez, Timber, Kane, Kim Min-jae, they're the ones we know about. They're the ones we know about, aren't they? I meant to mention about Marcus Rashford as well. I think we were all expecting this, but may have forgotten it. Crucial week for Manchester United. Everton on Sunday, Galatasaray on Wednesday, and then Newcastle on the Saturday. We have got injury concerns, of course. We will have no Marcus Rashford against Galatasaray, which is a must-win game. We will be picking a midfield that is going to have to be McTominay, Amrabat, Bruno, Hannibal, or Mainu. We will have no Marcus Rashford against Galatasaray. They've upheld the red card. He will not play against Galatasaray. We have to win that game. So, what do you think, actually? I mean, I can't do a poll on this. What do you think about the next 3 games? Everton, Galatasaray, Newcastle. I sit here saying we need to win all 3. But I've got absolutely no confidence that we will. The one thing about this United side over the last 10 years, if I'm being honest, is away from home, we're more than capable of downing tools mentally. I don't think we've ever, in the last 10 years, won 3 away games concurrently against opposition like this. I can't see us winning 3 games in a row. In fact, I would say 10% chance. I think we can win 2. I think more likely we win 1, draw 1, lose 1. That's what I think. I think that's United all over. Inconsistent. I think win 1, draw 1, lose 1. But do we need to win all 3? We're Man United. We do. But we're not going to win all 3. And I don't. The reason I wanted to bring it in, and I want to get a few comments. Marvin says, I think we draw 1, lose 2. I mean, that's not great, Marvin. Eric Ten Hag interviews are so bad. He used to be good. After Sancho issue, he's scared. It's turned fans off. Fans see through the bullshit. That's why Sir Alex Ferguson was box office, says DJ. I do want to bring a bit of reality into this. I don't think we should be expecting to win all 3 games. If we won 2 and lost 1, that's probably not bad. That's probably not bad. We're probably wrong to expect to win though. Demand that we win those 3 games. Newcastle destroyed us last season at St James's Park. Everton is probably the easiest of the 3, but it's still very difficult. And Galatasaray away is going to be hostile. I don't know whether these players can deal with it or not. So, yeah, I think it's a massive 3 games. I think if we can get it, look, as I said, I think the most likely is win, lose, and draw. That's the 3 results. If we can win all 3, it would be incredible, absolutely incredible. But I don't think we should go into these 3 games expecting to win or demanding that we win. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's ever realistic. I don't think that's realistic for Liverpool to go and win those 3 games. So I don't think we should be expecting to go and win those 3. I mean, we can't be hypocrites. We can't on one hand say we've got a massive injury crisis and we're not playing well, and then go, but we've got to win these 3 games. Expectations should always be there for Manchester United, but we've also got to be fair as a fan base and go, we can't be critical about the issues at the club and then demand they go and win 3 away games like that. The one I want to win is Galatasaray, as I said before. Spad said, so we lower expectations? No. Mate, we're not lowering expectations. I know as well as you know, if Man United lose a game, it gets heavily scrutinised by the media, by the fans. We lose a game, there's going to be criticism. I can't prevent that. You can't prevent that. All I'm saying is, I think there needs to be a little bit of balance. If you lose all 3, we're in the really big shit. If we lose 2, like Marvin says, there'll be questions to ask. If we lose 1, draw 1, win 1, it's probably where we're at. I want to beat Galatasaray. I don't want to play Thursday night football next season. I don't want to play Thursday football in February. I want to beat Galatasaray and get through the group. As far as the Premier League is concerned, I think 4th place will be up for grabs if we lose to Newcastle and Everton anyway. I don't think it will be gone if we lose to them. But if we lose to Galatasaray, we're going to be playing Thursday night football, and I don't want that to happen. I really don't. Does it even matter anymore? A lot of fans don't trust if we don't win every game. It's more weeks of Erik ten Hag drama, says DK. And Romario says, to be honest, I want to be out of Europe. I just don't see the point of fighting for a tournament we can't win anyway, says Romario. Well, yeah, but you know what? I really enjoyed playing Bayern Munich. I actually enjoy watching Manchester United play decent teams, and I fucking hate watching us play Sevilla or bloody Mönchengladbach, or I don't enjoy it. I want to see us play Barcelona. I love them. I mean, I know that was the Europa League, but I like those games. Fenix says, what a show tonight. Thanks everyone for tuning in, the hardcore. We're Manchester United. I'm pissed. I'm fed up of where we are. And, I get a lot of criticism. I'm sure you get a lot of criticism. The channel gets a lot of criticism, but at the fundamental core of it, we've been doing it for, nearly 10 years. And it's always been consistent. We haven't popped up in the last 2 years or the last 6 months, copying what the United Stand do or setting it up ourselves and copying the United Stand or changing our content to copy the United Stand. We've been doing this for a very long time. And I don't mind people copying it because it means we're doing something right. But my point is, fundamentally, we've been doing this for nearly 10 years and it's always been the same. We say the things we think because we care about Manchester United. I don't know when we stopped being the Bayern Munich of England, the Juventus of England, the Real Madrid of England. The Man United I know for most of my life is respected and there is a standard because that's who we are. We still are that club. I look at the ground, I look at the fan base, I look at the money, but we just haven't succeeded because of the mistakes made by the people who run the football club. And we've almost become this club now. And I'm not criticising Romario, but he's saying, I'd rather we weren't in Europe. Can we get 5th place? It'd be great if we can challenge for a title by the year 2030, someone said the other day. And I'm like, fucking hell. They've actually succeeded. They're making money off us whilst making the fans accept that we're a nothing club anymore. We're Manchester United. I want us in the Champions League. I demand it. I demand that we're in the Champions League. That's who we should be doing. My girlfriend seems to walk in at a very sus parts of That's Football streams. She's very worried about what I watch. She's coming to the Christmas show, says Lee. Also, just bought my Merry Christmas, you Prats jumper, says Lee. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to meet you, and let me know when you get your picture, and I'll remember that. If you want to get your Christmas tickets, by the way, for the Christmas show, we're doing photos and everything afterwards. We've got Santa giving presents out, who may or may not be Ricky. We've got a quiz, Ben Foster's podcast against my podcast against the United Stand. It's going to be great. It's going to be interactive, plus the stuff that we did on the other shows as well. If nothing changes, links in the video description, I think, for that. If nothing changes, would you see Erik ten Hag staying or leaving? Basically fight, or will he flight? Ray, my honest opinion on Erik ten Hag hasn't changed from this morning. I'm worried. I don't think his job's in danger, but I'm worried about where I think the next month defines a lot. I don't see him being sacked before March, regardless. I don't think it's worth doing. And I think this summer he could be vulnerable. Even if results improve, what people don't realise is, even if results improve, when Sir Jim Radcliffe comes in, if he wants to put Paul Mitchell and Blanc in and give them more power than Ten Hag, if you work somewhere and you've got power and then there's a load of changes and they take your power away, some people accept it for the better good. Some people see it as an insult and force their way out. So even if you take away the football side of things, there is still hazards ahead for Erik ten Hag in his future. I've got no idea what's going to happen. I think the only player that's not going anywhere is probably Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and anybody that we bought in the last summer. So Rasmus, Mason Mount, and Arna. I think anything can happen with any player. I think anything can happen with the coach, and I think anything can happen with our future. And Some people might find that exciting. I find it massively disconcerting and tiring because we've had 10 years of false starts. We've had 10 years of process and vision, and we're about to step into another one. I knew it was going to happen. I just wanted it to be about Glazers gone, debt gone, money going, let's do this. Whereas this, to me, seems like it's another shot in the dark. There is going to be a lot of change, but I don't know whether it's going to be successful because it's not what I would have done. But we can't do what I would have done or what you would have done because we've still got the Glazers. Erik ten Hag is like Rose on the Titanic. He's on the plank, but the players need to get on and not make it sink, with maybe Sir Jim trying to rescue us, says Tom. He's a big Titanic fan. Simon's gone for the hat-trick. Here he goes. He says the big test will be if Sir Jim backs the players or if he backs Ten Hag. Big month ahead. Yes, Simon. And guess what? I said that 2 weeks ago, didn't I? The big one that will dictate that is what happens with Jadon Sancho. Because if he comes in and backs Sancho, oh my God. We can't be consistent with no starting lineup, says Nick. No, we can't. These injuries are killing us, whether people like it or not. Anyway, what a fantastic show tonight. I've absolutely loved it. Don't forget to get your Christmas show tickets. There are still some left. The link is in the video description for that. It's going to be a great night. But also, got another super chat coming in here. How will next year's Championship League qualification affect the clubs? Nice. And Man United considering Sir Jim Ratcliffe introduction into the club. When does this take place, as both clubs can't play the Champions League, says Matthew? Well, that's a question from yesterday, Matthew. It was on yesterday's morning show entitled Euroban, so I don't propose to go on over about it. But yeah, it's a consideration. I suspect UEFA will change the rules or Sir Jim will do something. But you've got to qualify for the Champions League to have that first of all, haven't you? One Simon wants a Netflix movie recommendation from somebody, if anyone can give him that. Don't let me forget, Boohoo Man Black Friday sale today. Get onto the link in the description or scan that QR code now. 99% off when you use the code Goldbridge. You can get beautiful stuff like what I'm wearing here. Just got it delivered today. Absolutely love it. Cracking little hoodie. Check it out with Boohoo Man. You can get loads of stuff for Christmas, quality clothing, reasonable prices, very reasonable prices now with that discount. 90% off plus another 10% with the code Goldbridge. Check out the website. Get yourself some clobber now. Get yourself a load of Christmas presents. Do it on the cheap and then spend the savings on yourself. Be selfish for once, Simon. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the morning. Take care.